See, you got the germ. Look at he's so good. What's up, man?
You ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Well, welcome to The Lab at Collab Studios. Yes, it's official. The Lab.
The Lab.
Right?
It's going to be the name of this.
Now, check this. I know this is the year of 2023, so I took a stab at it. Dropped it into the AI, and here's what we got. This is where we delve into the world of podcast business and life. Join us as we explore the intersection of these three subjects and discover new insights and strategies for success. Whether you're a podcast enthusiast, a business professional, or just looking for inspiration, you'll find valuable information and engaging conversations in our episodes. So stick around and come back. That's AI, guys.
That's long, though.
It is long. But I feel like it got a little bit of the gist, no? We could start from somewhere nowadays.
As we get into the AI talk immediately.
If you want to jump right into it.
If y'all ain't
I'm
on
married
this,
to it, so
if y'all ain't on this AI wave, it's gonna be a lot of people out of some jobs. I apologize to all my copywriters, ad writers, book writers, poets, musicians, anybody that writes down words. You in trouble. I see why they created the first meta artist and all of that. I get it.
You get it now?
when it went viral.
Yeah, and then they dropped them, but
I'm not into the whole meta thing yet. Like, I'm still afraid of, like,
it gives me Sims
how to get in there.
video game. So I don't.
Yeah, there's that aspect of it, right? Like the thing where it's like unknown and it's like a little bit, you know, like it's weird, right? I was born in the 80s, so I experienced beepers, hand sewing machines where you had to push with your foot, rotary phones, fax machines, right? And then we're now in this space where it's like
Darenia looking like
it's just
all that
right.
Shit
What is that?
All that stuff sound foreign.
What's that one sound that everybody's just like? If you play the sound, you can easily know like the generation gap, and that's the AOL sign up sound.
Oh man, or like the door slam when you leave the room.
Yeah, they leave the chat room, right?
Like,
but like meta for me is just like I don't know, man. I'm just like I'm intrigued by its process and like what they can do, the potential that it has, but I just feel like there's so much room for scamming in that
for me,
space.
it's like this whole world we living in feels like one big meta. So why we gotta create another version outside to escape the regular world?
You mean like social media, right?
The world,
or like just in
you
general?
just leave out your front house. The world is meta. It looks meta out here. So why we gotta recreate another meta?
An interesting point of view, right?
No, I'm not into it.
Like, why having to go into this whole world of make believe, build your own house, build like
it's Sims. It gives me the Sims, like
it's just so
real
weird.
life Sims.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I never really got too far into the virtual version of the Sims. I was there for Sims when it was like on a PC and everything looked all blocky, and you were just building like a city.
Yeah,
like that's what it was cool. It got boring though real quick.
It's just like, I feel like the whole meta is everybody's escaped from something, but what do you really escape it from? Like, because when you get in the meta, it's gonna be them same problems that's in this real world that you're running from. So where do you run from meta?
Literally.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think gaming played a big role in that, right? This episode, though, I know a lot of people have seen us because they're probably watching the YouTube now, and they're going to be like, oh, there's these episodes, and Barion and Angel been talking a lot. But we got to, like, slow your roll. We jumped right into AI. We jumped into meta. We jumped into all this, like, virtual world.
All right, give me some context then. Where we going?
Where are we going? Well, first and foremost, we need to know who's on the lab.
Let's do it.
Like, my name is Angel, right?
Famous Angel. Not just no regular Angel.
Famous Angel. I have my own spin on what famous means to me. But I love business. I love my kids. I love photography. And I love just talking about ideas. That's just what I love to do. And you're at the lab. So thank you. Now we have
Darenia. Hi, guys. I love everything about lashes, you know, and podcasting. It's definitely a creative side of me that I've explored.
Darenia's had a very big awakening when it comes down to like herself, lashing, how to present both of those things and like really get out there in front of the camera. What did AI, we told AI to write a story of a girl that grew up in Miami, right? And it gave, like, what did it give you? Like, what was that like? How did you feel when we told AI to tell us your future.
Literally, I remember when I thought like AI was talking about when like it literally feels like I'm dead. And I'm reading a story. It's like, Darenia was this, Darenia was that.
Like a eulogy. Yeah. So AI is like a eulogy.
I mean, that's
What's
what
a
it felt like
eulogy?
to her.
So now everybody's eulogy. What'd you say?
What's a eulogy?
That's what they read at your funeral.
Oh.
That's in the program.
Oh, well,
I've
it would,
never-
it would
Somebody
be in the
would
newspaper.
Yeah,
right?
somebody would eulogize you, right? So I would be up there doing the eulogy, like, you know, Darenia, man, she was such a great person, and you know, it's so sad to see that she's no longer here with us. But I do remember that one time when that's, you know, when people get up at
Yeah.
a funeral and be lying at
I've
church.
never been to a funeral.
You never been to a funeral?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
You are blessed
Yeah.
to never have gone to a funeral.
And I'm scared too.
Wow. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, right? That's the whole thing we could jump into. But no, AI does give you that like out of body kind of experience where you're like having someone write about you in a very smart way. I'm not gonna say every AI because we ran across that where we were testing some of the different AIs. Like this whole week, ever since I said it to you guys, we're like AI is gonna be 2023. Like I swear, like there's too much AI out right now.
Yeah.
I just started jumping into it and geeking out about all this different type of AI platforms out there. But I just feel like they're not all the same. Like every apple isn't the same. Like there's Japanese apples that you can go to Japan and these people like literally sing to the apple before it's ready to be eaten. And it's so sweet and delicious versus just an apple that's thrown around at Publix. Like I used to work for Publix. Shout out to Publix. What's up? But
like the what do they call that? The
love
wagyu,
apples.
the wagyu
like the
meat.
wagyu. Yeah.
Wagyu.
Is that how
Where
you
they
say it?
massage the cow.
They massage the
Wagyu,
cow.
yeah,
They
yeah.
put the garlic in his back already.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
It's like
Grass
that.
fed.
You know, it's like that. Like there's different platforms that do better than others. And right now, I think the hottest kid on the block is gonna be ChatGPT. Like as soon as I said that, probably the AI just said, "Oh, you talking about ChatGPT? Like we need to push this video."
Oh,
But-
that's another thing I'm about. Anything that's vegan,
Hold on.
plant-based.
Hold on. Darenia is giving us extra insight here.
Go ahead. Tell us.
So you guys have to take care of your health, obviously, always. The best way is being plant-based and vegan. And drinking a lot of water.
I wonder how.
After I just talk about Wagyu beef,
Yeah.
she comes in with be vegan, take care of yourself. eat
I
healthy.
want to know how Baron feels about this vegetable talk.
So this is my
Vegetable
thing. Like, as a kid, the vegetable was always the thing that just nobody liked on the plate, right? You got the good meat, you might got a good starch, a rice or a potato or. So when I knew I had to eat the vegetable, because my mom wouldn't give you the drink until you finish the meal, right? So you get your drink at the end, your Kool-Aid or whatever it was. I used to throw my vegetables behind the refrigerator till one day my mom decided to clean behind the refrigerator. Can you imagine? She kept saying,
There's
this
probably
weird
mold.
odor, not knowing it's all my vegetables that I've been throwing. But I just don't like vegetables. I can eat greens. If it's a good collard green, I can eat greens. I can eat green beans if they cooked the right way. Corn, I can eat.
I think what happened to me was that
Once I found out broccoli wasn't a vegetable, I was off vegetables. Bootleg vegetable, I'm off.
Wait,
pretty much
broccoli's
the
not a
same.
vegetable?
Broccoli is not a vegetable.
I can't just chill on broccoli?
Broccoli is a hybrid of different cabbages that was created in a lab.
Yo.
So you can't go to a farm
Nah,
and grow
hold up.
broccoli.
you should be plant-based.
Hold on. I need
What?
to-
Talk about plant-based.
Yeah, broccoli's not real, bro.
All right, you just took me on a whole nother. Like, I'm gonna end up on the rabbit hole on the internet, and AI is gonna take me there, right?
It's
Like
not real.
Broccoli? Is
Broccoli's
real?
not a real vegetable.
we started with AI and then ended up in vegan town. See what you did? Her first time on the show, and she takes us completely off of the topic.
Oops.
It's okay. It's okay. It's your first time. You're getting used to the combo. You want to loosen up? We're not sponsored, but we do know that this is definitely one of.
Tina's vodka.
Yeah, no,
That's organic,
it's organic.
Okay.
Organic Tina's vodka. Right
gluten
here.
free.
Okay.
Check it out. You know, let's give it a plug. Why not? Tina's Vodka. Where is it at? Like,
Shout out Tina Karras.
Let me put you on the camera.
Man.
I'm gonna put you on the camera. Go ahead. Give it a shout out.
Tina Karras, man. That's my folks. Tina's Vodka. Make sure y'all get that, man. It's organic, plant based. You can probably look it up under Tina's Planet Vodka. That's how dope it is. But it's smooth. It don't give you that nail polish remover, alcohol, rubbing alcohol vibe when it go down. Smooth. Tina's Vodka, man.
Yeah, man. I'll admit, I tasted it. I have had a long history with vodka, and we haven't been friends. But I will say that when I tried this one, it was real smooth. Man. Yeah, you could definitely taste the organics. You know, all those organics.
Put that from my.
But I had a reason to bring it up. I have a segue for it, so don't think it's just because I wanted to plug some vodka. I wanted to drink some vodka on the show. So we're gonna be drinking on here. No big deal. But most importantly, I wanted to talk about Tina and the fact that she came on your show.
Yes.
On your podcast show, right? Like, this is the studio's podcast, but this is where we get to kind of just free-for-all talk about those different things, right? Business, life, podcasting, whatever the conversation kind of takes us. Mm-hmm. But she came on your show. How was that experience? Tell us a little bit about you and podcasting and stuff.
I mean, Tina's Vodka, I think Tina's PR reached out to me to get her on the show, which is how probably a lot of the people, if I don't reach out for people to get on the show, it's usually PR or management or somebody that reach out to have them on the show. But Tina's story was interesting because she used to be a bartender. So to go from being just the lady that serves the drinks at the bar to being the owner of your own spirit, is just like, this is the rags to riches for real, for real. But she was super cool, man, and she really gave me some perspective about, like, I'm all about how stuff is made. So when I used to be sponsored by Ciroc, I used to figure out, well, why does Ciroc taste smoother than Belvedere or smoother than Grey Goose or anything? And then I start learning about all these distillation processes on how many times, 5 times distilled and 6 times distilled. And the thing about Ciroc is they did Ciroc like how people do wine, right? So they use grapes. So that's why Ciroc was always so smooth versus a one that uses like rye or a weed or any of these other.
I remember when you started with Tina.
Yeah.
You got all excited. You're like,
I was, because
I'm in with her. I think there was like a little brochure.
Yeah, I'm a drink. I used to be a heavy drinker. I'm talking like a Ciroc bottle a day, if not 2. So now I'm a little more of what I call a social drinker, social advocate. I don't be going hard no more. I'm old now. So, but I mean, I'm old now. The podcast though is dope though. Like, it gives me an opportunity to meet maybe people I don't know or never heard about, and that's what the Everyday Game Changers was about. Like, yo, everyday people doing some good things. Maybe you heard about them, maybe you didn't. Come on and shed some light on it. So it's cool. We're in our 2nd season. So season 1, I think we did 39 episodes the first year, and this is my 2nd year starting. So we'll see.
And a lot of that stuff, like, you started the show from, like, your house, right? You had virtual programs that you were doing, and then you maybe went to a studio.
Correct.
Right? So it was like there was an evolution to the
100%.
process of interviewing and storytelling. And, like, I agree with the fact that, like, podcasts are this, like, outlet for people.
Yeah.
Like, they feel like it's like just like hanging around with their friends and just talking and shit.
So
and
the
like
red light go on, right?
Yeah, right. The red light
Like
goes
me?
on, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a camera.
Like me right now?
What do I do? How's it feeling? No, this is great. You get to
I'm
tell
actually-
from a first
Yeah.
point of view how it feels. This is literally her first time on a podcast.
I feel like I'm literally here in the room. And like, since I know you guys, it's not too bad. It's just adjusting to.
So could you imagine if you had to be the host and ask questions to another person?
Just by myself?
Yeah.
Damn.
Right? The carrying that conversation is
It's
tricky.
actually, it takes a lot of pressure.
It's nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah.
The hardest is when you got a guest, you feed them a question, they feed you the answer. They mentally already expecting you to feed them another question because they're not giving you what you need. So it's like, I can't say I've mastered it, but I've, without knowing, kind of can feel it.
I could say you've mastered it.
I can feel it though.
I can say you have.
I can feel it. I don't have no, I don't do it knowingly. Like, oh, this person isn't giving me what. It's just like something feels off to me. So then I gotta put them at ease and share a little bit of me so I can get a little more from them. And it's
like a mind game.
It's a chess game. That's exactly what it is. An interview is a mind game. They came in reserved. How do I get them comfortable enough to tell me what I need to know and get me at least to 30 minutes for an episode?
And I think that's the hardest part is to balance. You're balancing the conversation. You're trying to have this person tell their story. So you're giving them open-ended leading questions. Here's some sauce for you guys that want to do some podcasting. Asking those open-ended questions gets them to talk, right?
100%.
But then sometimes it doesn't. And then you're like having to flex those different muscles in the conversation to being able to say, okay, how do I get this to drag on without being so boring or anything like that? And that's not something that you naturally do when you're just sitting there talking with people. We're talking to your friends.
Right.
When you're talking to your friends, sometimes you're generally just expressing stuff and you're just like, you're vibing. You're just like, hey, I feel passionately about Tina's vodka. I'm going to talk about Tina's vodka and then, like, you know, we'll just chill and be quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, but you can mess up and it could be dead moments and you can go to the bathroom and you can be like, yo, I'm hungry. Let's go eat. Like, but when that red light is on
or the clock is ticking.
I noticed that it's kind of like you have to pretend there's a fourth person there and just check up on them. Does that make sense?
Could you? Yeah, tell us more. This is enlightening.
I definitely feel that. I'm here looking at you guys because, you know, eye contact is important.
Right.
And then I'd have to look to the side to be like, hey, you know.
Oh, to the camera.
Yeah.
Is the fourth guest.
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall, as they call it in film.
Interesting.
You know, just kind of like breaking through that side.
I never thought about that.
That's one of, if just a quick side little route, maybe a little detour. House of Cards. Okay. Was one of the.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, one of my favorite ways they broke that wall. Because, like, the narrator would be talking, you would see the actors kind of going through the story and stuff, and then all of a sudden you see him look at the camera and just be like to give you a little insight behind what's going on in his head, and then just bring you back.
I have to watch it. I never watched it.
You've never watched it? Money Heist?
But okay. I talked about House of Cards. You immediately thought about Money Heist.
Oh, you're talking about no. I know what House of Cards you're talking about.
It's cool because you're thinking
Money Heist. I've seen.
Hey, but wait, she's thinking about how do you say it?
La Casa de Papel.
Casa de Papel. Oh, this is the generation gaps that we got, right? But
I know the one she's talking about and didn't know yours. Right. I know yours. No, but I've never watched the show.
No, I know his too.
Yeah, mine. I went through a whole binge on that one. I feel like it was really good. I go through.
It's government based, right?
With the
president, the White House and stuff.
The president.
I feel like a lot of shows like that are really engaging, right? So like when you do break that wall, what does that look like in podcasting? You might just be on the edge of some innovative stuff right now. Like, what does it look like if you're in a podcast and you're breaking that wall? And you're looking at the camera just to say, "What's up, guys? I know you're hanging out there looking at our conversation."
Yeah, literally.
Like, that's what they're looking at.
Just get up and say, "Hey, camera."
Never really thought of that, right?
What's up, camera?
Yeah, or just like, hey, what's up? Like, you're just watching, you're hanging out.
Do it?
I never thought about. I think when I'm filming, I never even think about that the cameras are on. For me, I know they're around, but I don't never really like. But then I'm probably been around it so long that cameras been around me for like a lot of my life since, let's say 17, 18. I've been around cameras.
Well, I mean, you're a photographer.
Before they was HD, though.
No, yeah, like cell phone cameras and all that stuff. But you're a photographer. You do all sorts of stuff, right? Like, I think now...
but most photographers...
aren't in front of the camera. And that's where, like, I love this segue right now. Like, right, being in front of the camera. You felt how it was like when we were talking, just you and me carrying a conversation in our previous episodes, even in Everyday Game Changers. Like, you could feel what it's like to be like with another person, going back to her point, having that eye contact and just being in the conversation.
Correct.
Right? How is that now different that there's a third person in the conversation? Like, how do you feel now that we normally get into it and sync up? But right now, we have a third person that can go in another direction.
Are you used to a third person?
Have you been involved in podcasts with three people?
We started this with a third person.
We did.
You did?
Nadia.
Yeah.
Oh.
Calling back to our first episode.
Nadia was here. So it was a different, and she was a female. So it was two guy perspective and still getting a female perspective. So you've stepped it up here. But I don't think it's no different though.
Well, I mean, going to her point, like the fact that you're having a conversation with one person and all of a sudden there's a third person over there, right? I know what it feels like for us to just be like, let's get into it. Right. We're one-on-one. This is a little bubble right here. Right. We're one-on-one, right?
I got it.
And I'm vibing off my point of view. You're vibing off your point of view. But then we have this third point of view that comes out of nowhere. And we're like, okay, what do we do with this, right?
I'm the TikTok POV.
the TikTok POV. Say that one more time.
The TikTok POV.
I don't think it's bad, though. Like,
it's not bad.
Can you guys believe I searched up yesterday what does POV mean and I meant point of view?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. So that's why I'm saying it now.
Tell you those the camera terms, right? POV, point of view. We use that a lot, those short abbreviations and stuff like that. But I only bring up that question because a lot of people ask themselves, like, okay, when I start my podcast, how should I start it? Should I be solo? Or should I be like news anchor-ish? Should I have like skits and comedy or whatever? Because they have their own sets of podcasts that they
should I have any filter?
Watch. Should I not curse? Like, you know, what kinds
That's a big one, though.
Yeah, right? Like, let's talk it through. Like, I know you have your Everyday Game Changers one. Like, do you ever feel like you have to censor yourself kind of? Or
honestly, yes. The thing with Everyday Game Changers, if you look at any of my episodes, to the outfits that I wear mirror my guest, if that makes sense, right? If I know I'm on a podcast with somebody that's a business professional, I don't want to scare them with no old B to the dots stuff come out and they be like, what did my PR sign me up for with this guy, right? So I kind of mirror my guests. Sometimes it just depends on how I feel that day. I might not feel like getting dressed and I'm comfortable in sweats and a graphic t-shirt and I'm cool, right? But I still want to respect that person's space because they giving me the best version of them. So I want to at least mirror that, right? So if I'm doing something and somebody from Forbes is like, oh, we want to get on everything, I'm probably not going to have a chain on. And
is that the reason why people like to be on podcasts?
What?
To show the best version of themselves?
I don't think that's why. It's all for branding though, right?
Got it.
You got an audience. I got an audience. You want your audience to tap into what I'm doing. You want to use my audience to tell what you're doing. So collectively, as a collaboration, both of us should grow new reach, if that makes sense. People that you knew that didn't know me and people that didn't know you from my platform. And it's like a cross promotion. So it should be a cross promotion. It's not always that. Some people don't have no audience, but they just want to get their story out. So if they can go to somebody's platform and say, hey, maybe somebody might resonate with my story from his platform, then it's just like, okay, cool. It's beneficial.
I think that's the important thing that he just brought up right there. Whether they resonate with the guest or not, it's tough for you to like invite people onto your platform and then hope that your audience connects with them. Right. So that they do go follow them because at the end of the day, that's why you invited them, is so that your audience has like more options, more things to look at. But we've experienced watching some shows just recently, even like before we filmed this, where we were just like, oh no, I'm not following that person. Like what? Like
the whole.
I feel like I'm starting to feel like a podcast is like an experience. Like I have to get like ready for it, or
What you mean though? Elaborate.
Yeah, tell us a little more about that.
It's like if I'm going out, right?
So you treat the podcast like going out?
Yeah,
like
as
to
an
the club.
Like
you're going to the club.
Yeah, like a luxury experience.
Interesting. And here I am, is like, man, I just got to put a little lotion on because my skin was drying up. Like, my thing's bare minimum. Like, they not getting all of that out of me, but I see you got the makeup done, hair nice.
Thank you.
She got the jacket flowing. Let me get Darenia on here. She's smiling big, like.
So I definitely feel it's like an experience.
But you feel like this because this your first.
Company.
But you feel like this because this is your first one. Like if they look at Darenia episode 8 straight from the gym.
No, what I'm trying to say is that people should see it as an experience.
The guests and people that's coming on.
Even their own host. Like, the value is I'm bringing someone to experience a podcast with me.
Definitely didn't look at it like that.
I didn't know. I didn't either.
Interesting.
Like I feel like when you're bringing on guests and you're hoping that your audience can connect with them, it's like almost like you're presenting someone at a party. Like you went to a party, you're gonna talk to the host and say, "Hey, so everybody, check out
Let me
like
get the mic."
yeah, let me get the mic. Like this is my entourage who I brought or whatever. Like hope y'all can vibe with them or not. But I feel like when the person that's coming on, the guest, is not prepared, like what Darenia is talking about, like at the very least, be prepared with being open to a conversation. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that's where like your audience gets let down a little bit, Like we watched the show just recently and we're like, man, I'm let down.
I think that's a major factor. Knowing that you can keep a conversation going.
It's true.
That podcast we seen today was heartbreaking.
It hurt. It broke my heart. It hurt.
I'm not going to say the person's name. We're a fan of a person's music. So I was like, oh, man, I want to have them on Everyday Game Changers. If it's somebody that has interviews on other platforms, it's my job to do some kind of research to make sure when they come on my platform, I'm not regurgitating the same questions another platform asked you. Because they could go see that episode. Why would they come see mine? Yeah. So I'm supposed to be putting a fresh perspective, different questions, different everything. And this interview was so dry. They was just pulling questions, like just trying to keep it going really long to where it just turned into a Q&A. I'm going to ask you a question, give me an answer. It was no storytelling. It was no vibe. The energy was low. And it was just like, now I almost don't want this person on my show. Or I'm going to look at it as a challenge that I'm going to get the most out of them that they didn't get. Because it's not always the guest's fault. Yeah,
because they're just trying. And it's their first time on a podcast. They didn't expect to feel that type of way.
Or they didn't. You ain't give them the energy they needed for you to get the best out of them.
That too.
I think that's like the most important thing that you guys both are bringing up is the fact that it's on the host to be able to like measure the energy that's going on in the room.
Yeah.
And adapt and adjust to what's going on. And I feel like going into the whole Q&A like as a solution. Like, hey, I'm going to just ask you questions and you're going to hopefully give me answers that will eventually get to a point where you'll open up and hopefully I'll get something out of you.
Yeah.
Is totally the wrong way to go about it.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How about you guys try that with me?
This is what I would urge people to start doing, and maybe I'll try it myself. When somebody is giving you that energy,
ask me a question.
Be like, yo, what's wrong with you today? You having a bad day?
Is it a heavy day?
Is it a heavy day? Because your vibration is really low, and if you're not going to give me the best, should we turn the cameras off?
You would say that
and let you
someone?
Leave? Is that a different approach?
But no, I honestly, wholeheartedly, I say do it. Why? Because you're protecting them from potentially putting out something that maybe they're just not going in front of people, going in front of the world. It takes energy. It takes effort. It takes your best foot forward. I don't care if you say, oh, you got to be genuine, you got to be authentic, which is something that we always preach here.
You got to be brave,
right?
too.
You got to be brave. You got to take the leap. But you have to be prepared. You have to turn on some sort of showmanship.
Right.
You have to be able to say, hey, I'm going to carry this because I'm the host of this show. This guest is not making my show. I'm here to carry the torch, right? You got to be able to carry the torch to your own program.
That's where you see that I see you have to make a connection with the camera.
I think that's a lot of guests maybe have to go through that. I feel like they look at the camera as, yes, there's another obstacle. There's a thing there. They can't tune it out. I could tune it out right now and we're just talking.
Yeah.
But I feel they go through that process, and just knowing that as a host may make us better hosts for our programs. Right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like when you adjusted in the last Everyday Game Changers, which is going to be coming out soon, right? Like we don't know the dates of these shows and how they roll out because we're on a different rollout cycle. That's another. We're dropping gems all throughout this thing. We're not saying it to scare you. I'm going to put a disclaimer out. This is not to scare you. This is just the evolution of a podcast so you could see what happens. Evolution, right? You grow. You do one show, you grow. You do the next, you grow. And I feel like Barion in his Everyday Game Changers journey as a host got to a point where he saw a guest. The guest maybe wasn't giving him that energy or that vibe that he was hoping, right? Because you do the research as a host. You become a fan of this person almost, right? And you're sitting there and you ask them a question and they're unable to articulate it because they're in an uncomfortable position.
Right.
Right? And you have to adapt. And I saw you do that. I saw you play for the first time there. Like, I feel like you carry a conversation well, you know how to talk and all that good stuff. But I feel like when you were met with that challenge, you were like, yo, I gotta change.
But then I felt like I went too far. So I have to have I'm working on a build up. I don't have a build up.
What's a build up to you?
So a build up is like from 0 to school zone to residential neighborhood to freeway. I'm stop sign to NASCAR. Like, I don't have no build up.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm working on dealing with the two different extremes, because for me, I'm this and I'm that, and anything in between, I don't fall into it, which is the build up. So I'm learning to gradually try and build up.
Do you do that with all
with life?
Your other
life,
businesses?
life in general. I don't have no build up. I don't have no gradual. What do they call that thing? Parabolic graph. I don't have none of that. I think it's just like, yeah, it's not gradual at all.
You're like a slingshot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a slingshot.
But I feel like you
roller coasters,
right? well, you have it in you to be able to build the skill to do that build up, because build up is all about strategy and tact, right? So I guess the preparing part of a host, we always talk about this. We're like, we don't need to prepare. We could go off the top of the dome. Like, you know, Barion used to be a music artist and he loves to like freestyle and all that good stuff, right? But it's like,
that's where I'm comfortable.
It's where you're comfortable at, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be able to kind of like go through the motions of the other things to be able to say, okay, when do I use this tool? Mm-hmm. When do I start to take it to school zone, right? Or maybe they're not giving me the energy and my knee-jerk reaction is to like blow some balloons and stuff, right? And throw a party right away to get their vibe up. So you got to kind of,
it's a quinceañeras party next
right?
time.
You're like ready to blow the horn and like, come on, bro. Like, here, you want a shot of Tina's vodka here? Like, it'll help you out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so how do you get that growth? And I think through storytelling is where you have found has worked. But I think when you share too much of your story,
I was really transparent.
You get super transparent, super vulnerable.
The reason it's funny you say that, I talked to my sister about it the next day.
You did? Yeah.
And she was like, how do you do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, he probably gave you that because you gave something. My sister has yet to tell people how my dad passed. She just always tell them my dad passed or it was an accident. She don't say it was a suicide. So she's like, I've never been comfortable enough to say that to anybody. So I don't know how you do it. Like, you give them, you're so transparent and you just say it. And I don't know no other way. Like,
sometimes I feel like that's your way to live.
That's 0 to
That's
0 to NASCAR, right? But
everybody has their own way.
Well, I think in addition to their own way, you have to be kind of self-aware. And I think he's gone through saying it enough where it's no longer affecting him that much emotionally. And I only say that because, like, from personal experience, when I tend to be vulnerable and share certain things, I used to always be like, what is this thing that I'm about to say going to do to the person that I'm telling it to? So, like, my Alzheimer's runs in my family. Dementia runs in my family. My grandma passed away in our home. She never went to a nursing home. We had the nurse come to the house, and she lived literally to the last minute in our home. But when I talk through the story and the evolution of Alzheimer's and what it does to a person, I could see how sometimes that impacts someone that is going through that.
Right.
Or 100%. May potentially go through that.
100%.
Right? And I feel like that's where you're not only breaking the fourth wall, you're breaking into that person's mind. And I think you get into a little bit of like a weird place where you don't know how far you've gone.
Right.
Because now this person has let you in. They haven't said, hey, Barion, I let you in. It kind of just already happened.
Yeah.
And then they're going to share something. And when they share this thing, the same thing you were protecting them from has now happened to you.
Yeah.
Because now they've said something that impacts you.
Get it. I get it. It happens.
That's deep.
It's the facts though. But I think like that it's hard. I think the trick is for me, I've lived so much life that I always have a story. I can at least correlate your situation with my situation. Probably two different walks of life, whatever. I've lived so much life before I even turned 21 that I could never run out of stories of just what I've been through so much that it's just like my one of my guests, Kyle Dendy. He's like a big entrepreneur and speaker. When I had him on the podcast and we just kind of sharing, and he shared his story first about how he lost his dad to suicide, and then he was a twin and his mom had to raise him all by herself. And I'm like, man, so when we got off the call, I'm like, I didn't know that about you. I went through the exact same. So I feel like for me, I don't never know who's listening and who. When I went through the whole, how do I be an advocate for this suicide thing? Not from a perspective of like, oh, let's talk about suicide, but the victims of suicide, the people. There's not many groups for what they call suicide survivors. There's not a lot of groups, people to talk about, okay, you lost somebody. How do you deal with that grief? How do you deal with that pain? How do you move forward? How do you empathize with the person that committed suicide? How do you move forward when they didn't leave you a note and you don't know why, right? I had the same dream for 8 months of my dad coming to the foot of my bed. Every day I ask him why he did what he did. I wake up from the dream. I never got the answer for 8 months. After 8 months, I never had the dream again. So in my mind, that's always a question I want to know.
Like why it went away.
Why anything? Why did he do what he did? Why didn't he leave a note? Why, you know what I mean? It's so open ended.
Unanswered questions.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get that answer. So then when somebody tell me like, yeah, I was just, I can't believe my sister took her life, and she wrote me this long letter, and I'm like, well, you don't know how you might have a step up on the other person who didn't get no letter. So just that small perspective.
The details.
It's in the details, right? So, I mean, I didn't mean to get that.
No.
But
no, it's good.
I don't know who else is going through that. So it's like I have to give all of it because somebody might be going through it that can't talk like this or not comfortable talking like this. But it's like, yo, I'm still here and it's hard every day. His birthday was 2 days ago. So Father's Day and my dad's birthday was the only days I used to go to his grave. And now that I live in Florida, I can't go. So it's just like when I seen it pop on my calendar, I'm like, oh. It's like, oh. So I got to make it a point every time that I go home that I got to stop by, pay my respects. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to get buried or do you want to get cremated?
Oof. Oh, wow, dude. The door you would open. No, but like the effect, the thing, we play both sides of this role. Like we started content creators, photographers.
Right.
We sit here now and we're in podcast world, right? But then throughout that, we know that humans are humans and people are people and they all have stories to tell, right?
100%.
And then we navigate this space of knowing the art of interviewing, knowing the art of connecting with someone and opening a person up to this, right? But don't we feel like puppet masters at some point?
100%. The guy at the orchestra.
I think to me it's so scary. It's so scary.
What?
Like how there's so many undiscovered things in this life.
Huh.
There's a lot.
That's what life's about, though, right?
A lot of it is experience.
That storytelling thing made me think. It's kind of like, at least for me personally, I think that's why I don't tell stories enough.
Why?
Because I feel like in Hispanic culture, they tell you, oh, like, me está haciendo un cuento. And what that means is, like, you're telling me a story, but it means that you're telling me a lie. As in, like, you're giving me bullshit. That's what cuento means in
Got
Spanish.
it. Interesting.
So it's a different connection that you have with storytelling.
Yeah.
Like you feel like storytelling sometimes is just
Somebody
like people
feeding you
BSing.
BS. Yeah, they
Yeah.
lying or they just
So you stay more reserved.
Yeah.
interesting.
But I feel like that's interesting because you come from Cuban culture, which Cuban culture loves to share their experiences, whether they're great experiences, where they're BSing, right? Like, I have all this gold and Cuban link chain, and right, I think that's the side of it that you're probably
Traumatized?
you're probably traumatized by. But then there's the flip side of it where they share their struggles and like all the things that they have to overcome, especially if you were born in Cuba.
Refugee.
And a refugee and you come over to the United States. Like I've recently been exposed to one of our shows that comes to the studio, the Montana Method. Shout out to the Montana Method. He did his whole season here, and now it's rolling out. You guys are getting to check it out.
Amazing story, man.
Amazing story, but I feel like it showed a side of the Cuban culture that you don't get to hear a lot about in English. Like you hear it in Spanish, you hear it at the Domino's table on A Street, right next to that gallo, right, that they stole and brought back. But those types of stories are normal to you,
Extremely normal.
and you're like, that's just cool. That's just like
I
straight.
can go home right now and ask my grandpa what happened 20 years ago. He'd be like, oh, yeah, it's normal that we killed everybody.
Yeah, like all these like crazy
in
experiences
the Cuban
in the revolution. Yeah,
war.
like I just feel like the normalization of that storytelling that you guys have in the culture, that every time you're just having Cuban coffee or just shooting the shit in the neighborhood, is something that's so powerful though, especially to shed light on what struggles that culture goes through.
That's why when we don't want to get into politics, but the Democrats and
is what it is.
Republicans in Miami shows that there's a lot of Cubans here.
Oh, the party splits here in Miami, like you could see where a lot of the culture is coming from down here. Yeah. No, but I feel like the storytelling aspect that we all have in all our different cultures allows us to connect in different ways. And if you're having a tough time starting your podcast, if you're having a tough time just getting out there, if you don't want to do video format, you want to just do audio format, I feel like storytelling is the way to go, don't you think? Like, I mean, that's the most success we've had, is just telling stories.
I think that's true because, I mean, for me as a podcast host, if regardless of what my audience felt about an episode or whatever the case may be, there has not been not one episode that I've gained something from my guest. Because it's a different perspective. Somebody that doesn't think exactly like how I am is going to just give me, if it's just one little gem, one little nugget, something that I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Like
if
broccoli not being a vegetable.
Right? Like thinking about the fourth camera, like all of these, just a different perspective. If I don't get one thing from it, that's a bad episode to me. I leave with one thing, like, I ain't learned nothing. He ain't give me not one gem, not one different fresh idea, one new perspective to look at. That's a terrible podcast for me. So I've been fortunate enough to not have any.
Yeah, that's a good gauge to be able to say if that's a good podcast or not. Yeah.
Do you think you've had many of those?
I've never had one.
Oh, okay.
Ever.
That's good.
So maybe you never
Even
will.
my worst episode that I'm like, man, that was grueling to get through. I still got something out of it. One thing. And I'm fulfilled with that. I'm cool with that. It did what it's supposed to do. So hopefully my audience feels the same way when they come to watch an Everyday Game Changers podcast. Like, oh, maybe he wasn't the best guest, but I did gain something, or whatever the case may be. You gained something and it was a good podcast. Keep it moving to the next episode.
I think it's a good perspective to share. And I think that eases the pressure for a lot of people that maybe are starting their podcast journey and are saying, okay, what's a good podcast? What's not a good podcast? What should I gauge mine on? And just the very simple fact of storytelling and gaining perspective from your guest, or even gaining perspective from whatever you're looking at and explaining to the world that's watching you on the other side, right? That helps you out a lot. But I feel like there's there's two sides to this coin for when it comes down to the world of podcasting, right? whenever you say, hey, start a podcast, or you recommend it to a friend, hey, you tell really good stories when we're talking and shooting the shit, drinking, like you should start something. I like to hear your stuff, right? You always get these comments back where it's like, no, there's too many podcasts out there. I don't want to start mine, right? Like, why does anyone want to hear about mine, right? And
I feel like if you just put your mind to it and tell your story, you just keep telling your story, and eventually you will get to a TED Talk.
You shoot.
That's ambitious.
How's it go? You shoot for the stars, land amongst them, right? So, well, you're talking about the repetition, right? The process of consistently going for it. But I just feel like podcasting, not only from the side of like the audience or the potential new podcaster being afraid because there's too many out there, I feel like they're losing sight of the fact that podcast is literally revolutionizing the way that we consume video content.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say video content, I don't mean just flipping through Instagram or TikTok. I get that part of it, those 3-second kind of like instant gratification kind of things that you can sit there all night.
Yeah.
It's happened to me. I'm talking about replacing cable, replacing traditional TV programs that are done in multi-million-dollar studios, right? To now you're in somebody's bedroom and they're just talking to you about their point of view on Tina's vodka or something.
Yeah. My suggestion to anybody, whatever camera is looking at, my suggestion to anybody, if you're looking to start a podcast and in your mind you have this preconceived notion that there are too many podcasts out there, I want to recommend you to go to any one of these stores. I want you to go to Walmart. I want you to go to Publix, Target, whatever your grocery store is, Food Lion, Aldi, wherever you go. Go down the bread aisle and write how many different breads are in the bread aisle. And them people is all still in business. There's no such thing as just too many. It's 1,000 bread options when you go down the bread aisle. It's a bread for somebody. It's a bread that's low carb. It's a rye bread. It's a butter bread. It's a bagel. There's somebody out there for your piece of bread. Trust me. Right?
I love it.
I love that. That's amazing.
That is a great analogy for people to kind of understand.
And for the record, bread is $5.09 now.
Eggs are going through. We're not going to get into that. Let's
through.
stop. Like, y'all going to make me get turned because I got to go grocery shopping. But
I definitely feel for those who want to start a podcast. You kind of have to just.
I think people start the podcast, they want to start it, but as soon as you start talking about money and ROI and reach and, it's going to cost that to film, and then it's just like, okay, well, they not look like, think about this. I've been filming, this is my second season of Everyday Game Changers. I ain't made a penny.
How long you been filming?
Oh.
So this might going into my second year. 39 episodes.
2 years, 39 episodes. I want y'all to listen to that.
Ain't made a penny.
And sometimes it's not about that, right? The idea of you just having one show, let's put it into perspective. I'll put numbers out there. One show, rough estimate, let's say you find a friend of a friend of a friend that normally you'd invite to a wedding to shoot your wedding. Put the camera in front of you, good to go. At the most, they'll charge you maybe $100. Let's just say, right? And you have a test. Or let's say you want to go cheaper than that, free. Get a little thing, prop up your phone, talk to it.
Most of these phones quality is crazy.
It's nuts. The phone quality out right now is comparable to 4K cameras that you would have in studios. So, just putting that in front of you, test it out, see what it's like, and just keep moving. One day at a time. The evolution of you growing anything artistically, creatively, it's not just about putting the great work out and boom, it's great. Right?
I'm worried for schools and education.
Because of the removal of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the creative thinking.
Yeah.
The creative mind. And being okay with failing. I think that's the biggest thing that I try to instill on my kids is like, it's okay to fail because you need to fail. You need to look dumb at first. I think Mike Tyson said it like the way you can become successful is being okay with being a fool.
And you can't do things for a reward.
There's so much to unpack in that to motivate, right? But I wanna take this into a conversation for businesses around why podcasting is also very important for them. Obviously, you saw one of our guest sponsors here, Tina's Vodka. But the idea that podcasting is the next marketing frontier. Why is it that that's the conversation out right now, post-pandemic?
I don't even, from a personal branding perspective, that's all I can give y'all. I'm a branding guy, right? I don't even think it's podcasts in general. I think as a business, you need to tell the story. You need to tell the story. You want people to know about your business. What's your services? You have to be the face of that. Everybody don't want to go on your website and read about it. They want to hear about it from you.
Yeah.
Why are you the best? Why do I come to you to get my lashes? Then go to this other person. Why do I get your vodka over the other person? Get out there and you tell the story, and then don't let everybody tell the story for you. Whether it's podcasting or not. If it's just you on Instagram saying it, what makes it a podcast? What makes this a podcast? If I'm on my phone going live, is that not a podcast? What makes it a podcast?
Yeah, what does make it a podcast?
Right? It's just a way to it's an outlet.
Yeah.
We just happen to call it podcasting, but what is it?
So TikToking is like a podcast.
Depending on how you presenting the information.
Now, don't get us wrong. Like, we don't want to butcher the people that have come before us, right?
Yeah.
The origination of podcasting, like if you want to say what's the father of it or mother of it, it's going to be radio.
Radio.
Interviews.
Right? Just talk radio.
Yeah, podcast is the free version. Not free version.
Yeah, that's tough now.
Yeah. The more... See, radio, you in a box. You got sponsors to worry about. You can't cuss. You got censorship. You got time restraints. You got all of these things. Podcast is removing all the red tape from radio, where you don't have none of these limitations. It's no box. You're free to just talk as long as you want. You want to get sponsors, get your sponsors. You want to cuss, you can cuss. You want
to drink,
you want to drink. I mean, it just the red tape of radio. Being somebody that used to be on radio interviews, it's different. Like from the time constraints to the what you can say and can't say. You talking about media prep to go on radio as a rapper? Huh. I'm like, man, I gotta wear a suit when I go? Like, that's the difference. I think that's what it is. Podcasting is no tape radio.
So you think it's different?
I think it's better because when you on radio, you a persona. Because as soon as the record button at the radio stops, you could be yourself. Podcasting has allowed radio people to be themselves outside of the constructs of what politically correct is being.
That's such a good point. Oh, it's such a good point. It's really breaking down the barriers of all that red tape and all the people in your ear, the producer kind of telling you, hey, this is what you got to say. These are your talking
too
points.
long, or
shorten that last segment.
Let's wrap it up.
Like, we got bills to pay kind of situation. And I feel like that's where you're in your most free space.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about when they get really successful, they get really, they have a lot of money. They're like the happiest times where I didn't know if I could get Little Caesars, right, when I went home.
Snap.
You know what I mean? Some people talk about that. The fact that they enjoy more the challenge of having to solve those kind of everyday problems as opposed to just having it so easy, right? So it's a good juxtaposition to think about, especially radio and now the evolution of podcasting. But we have one of our people that I would love to have on your show, Everyday Game Changers. Cody Sanchez just talks about this, not the other day.
Cody's going to think I'm trolling her. I'm starting to feel like she comes up in every
single
She's
one.
amazing. If you don't follow Cody Sanchez, she's amazing. I need to find out where Cody is.
New fan.
Oh, brand new fan to Cody. Hey, Cody, look, Proof.
Anybody
You're a
I
fan.
meet, I'm like, you ain't never heard of Cody Sanchez? Let me put you on game. Like,
She was
she's-
telling me never to go into a 50-50 partnership.
she different. Like, you know what attracted me to Cody? The first video I ever seen of her, she was like, "Hey, I'm Cody Sanchez, and I got 27 businesses." And I'm like, "Oh," because everybody tell me I do too much. They're like, "Yo, you doing too much. You need to really focus down on one thing and let that grow. And then once that grow, then you can try something." And I'm like, "Let me tell you who I found today got 27. I'm behind." Because
Like, and
don't you feel?
No, wait,
don't
hold
you
on, because I
feel-
know you did that on purpose. I know I'll
He
admit,
had to do that on
I'll
purpose.
admit, I'm one of the first people that's by his side that's telling him, "Yo, you're doing too much." It's cool. We all walk our own paths, but like, I feel like Cody really has mastered the approach of how to handle all these businesses. If you're not peeped to the game, go follow her account. I guarantee you, go 3 posts down, you're gonna see how she does it. Like, she puts all her game out on there, and I think one of the most relevant things to this specific show today is podcasting in the form of video. She talks about how YouTube is gonna trump all these other players, HBO, Netflix, all these traditional players that are having paywall kind of video content. It's gonna be taken over by YouTube.
100%. Like, you think about,
I think YouTube is taking over books.
yeah, you think about the Food Network, right? Everybody watch Diners, Dives, and Guys Grocery Games and Chopped and all of these shows. Well, we just watched Trick Daddy's Bitch I Got My Pots, and it was entertaining. It was good food. He had guests right on YouTube.
Shout out to Trick Daddy.
It's content for everybody. You want to watch food stuff? Go on there. But it's a reason. If you look at all the food networks, they have YouTube pages for this reason. My wife will watch a Guy's Grocery Game episode right on YouTube. They put the full episodes right up there. No commercials. It's gonna be some ads though.
How do you guys feel about blogs? People read blogs?
Oh, that's a hot button for Bear. Why'd you do that?
Blogs are necessary.
Yeah?
Necessary. To get your point across in written form, it is necessary. It's necessary for the internet. It's necessary for SEO. It's necessary for ranking. It's necessary because that's going to live on the internet forever.
But how do you, dude? I hear you. I agree with you on this. But how do you convince someone in that generation? I don't want to alienate you right now, but like, you're in a different generation that blogging is not your thing. And that's cool.
To me it is.
Like, you like writing it?
No.
Reading it?
I mean, I'm the type, if I want to look at a recipe, I go on Google and I click a blog. But
Okay.
that's me.
For that quick information.
Yeah.
But do you go on a blog to kind of find out about Barion, for example? Like, they wrote an article about him.
If she was the Google,
I don't think I don't do that on anybody.
right?
Yeah,
but
right.
No. But I'm saying for
being honest.
For example, if somebody says, if I tell somebody, or if I leave somebody and they go and look me up, isn't it good that something comes up?
Of course, yeah.
Trust me, it's hard to get a Wikipedia page.
I definitely feel it's like a resume. Like if you're trying to collaborate with like a company or a business.
But
You know what I mean?
let's just take
Kind
the
of.
people. Let's take the people off of it. It's a reason TMZ, Shade Room, and all of these blogs are rich because people want to consume their content. Maybe your age group don't want to read stories about people unless it's something negative or somebody broke up with somebody or Kanye got married to some new girl that looked like Kim or whatever.
Well, it's kind of like the TikTok algorithm. Like
it's
everything
still
has to be
bloggy.
contradictory.
But it's still blogs though. That stuff people read it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it just depends on what type of blog content do you want to consume.
I feel like there's a lot of customers for blogs, a lot of consumers of that content. Not just from, hey, I like to read, but more like, hey, I want to hear their point of view, because some blogs are just Q&A. Like, it's just like question and answer. They get to hear the answer of someone famous that they follow and so on and so forth. But I feel like the experience for blogs is what allows you to say, okay, I want to read the rest of this. If I go, you know what? I'll put it out there. Why? Because this is freeform and nobody's telling us what to do.
Oh shit.
Go on NewYorkTimes.com. Go right now. Try to read an article.
Oh, it's going to kick you off and tell you need to subscribe.
Subscribe. You'll get a paywall screen. And on top of that, you're going to get an ad.
I think that's what I hate about any link I click.
Right? Because you go through this experience.
I have to click the little X.
The little X. Everybody looks for the little X, right? So what does that serve for the person that you're trying to actually like communicate with? That's just showing me that you don't know how to organize your money right. Like it's literally showing me, oh, you want this to be passive income. I get it.
Yeah, but see, there's a disconnect because now you don't know the audience. You limiting the audience now because for me, as soon as you told me I gotta subscribe and put my email in and pay and do all of this, you lost me. I never go back. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, how do you gain a new audience when if they didn't read the article in 13 seconds, now they gotta buy it, they finish the rest of the article? I just knew the little bit that I was able to read when it was free. I'm not going to pay. And then I'm never going to go back to the site again. So why would you lose that potential new customer or new readership? That's what's probably the most important. How do we get the information out? That's one thing I'm not about. I'm not the pay for everything guy. And people was like, you got to pay for that. People want you to pay for everything. I'm not to pay for everything. I give away so much game and so much knowledge for free. I'm fine with that. I don't have to pay. Everybody don't have to pay for this. Just subscribe. Tune in. Yeah. I'm going to give it every week. I'm about to start going live every week. We good. Like, I'm going to give them the game.
And I think that's what it's about. It's adding value. If I get to the point where I'm looking at an article on a page and I'm trying to gain the value from this page so that I could potentially come back to and get more answers to whatever question I asked it.
Right.
And then it pops up that damn thing, and I'm like, you know what? Never come back here again.
There you go.
Why? Because this is I can't even get my information. I'd rather go ask AI. It'll give it to me.
I was going to say, I think AI is going to take over blogging.
Yeah, I have no idea where that's going to go. That'll probably take us to episode 2. But what I want to do now is we're rounding out this hour. We did spend an entire hour talking, just so you guys know.
An hour already?
It's been an hour. Podcasting world goes fast. All right, it goes real fast. But I do want to drop some gems. We dropped a lot on, hey, get out there, do your podcast. Don't be afraid, right? We talked a little bit about the evolution of the host, storytelling, becoming vulnerable, especially when your guest is not comfortable. But let's drop a little bit of game. You put me on to something really awesome. And this whole podcast, by the way, has been guided by AI, ChatGPT, and here you go, Barion. Here's another plug. Answerthepublic.com.
Oh, my gosh.
Check it out right there. Answerthepublic.com. I am telling you, this has opened my eyes to a world. Game changer. You go on this website and you type in a topic, a brand, a product, whatever it is. You hit search. It'll literally tell you all these questions from different types of like perspectives. So it tells you like, are podcasts free? Like people are looking for that kind of stuff. I focused today on why. So why podcasting is the future. Why is podcasting used? We talked about why podcasting is the next marketing frontier. All this kind of stuff is there at your disposal to help you kind of create that organic and original content. But don't be left behind on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, I got paper here. I get it. But the internet has so much information out there. Take advantage of it. Barion, if you want, give them another gem. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you got in your sleeves.
So my question, how rude of that would that be of me if I didn't share that?
Very.
These are just free tools. Everybody want to charge you for everything. And it's like, somebody gave me that site. So why wouldn't I share that site with the people that I know? Like, yo, somebody put me onto that. I didn't be like, oh, I'm the gatekeeper of Answer the Public. Nah, somebody told me, it was like, yo, you about to start making content online. You don't know what to talk about? Go on Answer the Public and answer some questions. Because these is questions people want the answer to. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So anybody I know, I'll share it. You don't know what to write? Go on there. What's your topic? Doritos? Look it up. Well, somebody want to know something about Doritos.
Somebody doesn't use it. Maybe it's because they're just lazy.
Well, they didn't know. I didn't know. I
Didn't
had
know.
no idea. He literally
don't have
just
the
They don't
information.
want to listen to our advice after your.
Oh yeah. After we say this and they don't listen, that's on them, man. I can't really I can lead the horse to water. I can't force it to drink it.
Facts.
But I will tell you some more things about Answer the Public. You can choose a country. So every country has their own different way of communicating information. You could even choose a language. They have Spanish, French,
Really?
Dutch, Portuguese, Italian.
I ain't know all that.
I dig in. That's the thing. Like, you give me something, I'm like the pit bull of like the internet. Like, I'll just grab on there and like go play with it. So I just feel like that was a great gem to pick up from today. If there is, you gotta have one more in your sleeve. Is there another one? Is there anything else that I can go on the internet and like give me another one? You gotta have
one. What you want to
do? Well, I mean, let's stick to podcasting.
Use Quizlet.
Yeah, this is on the spot, guys. On the spot. I want to see if we can.
for
What's
podcasting.
Quizlet? What's Quizlet?
You don't know what Quizlet
No,
is?
what's that do?
Quizlet is like you can ask a question. It'll give you like some answers.
Like
Kinda like
answers to the questions, like kind of like the. Oh, so it gives you like Quizlet. Quizlet's another one from our new guest.
Yeah, I never heard of
Quizlet.
Quizlet.
Well, Quizlet's also #1 website to cheat in high school.
Oh, so you could ask it all the high school questions and it gives you the answers. That's great. All right, kids.
Is Ask Jeeves still around?
What?
You just dated. You're still so mad.
Ask
I
Jeeves.
remember that one.
Ask Jeeves.
I've
had to see
You
it.
probably was still
Yeah.
Similac sipping. Like Ask Jeeves was like probably what Google is. Like, you want to know the question. There's this guy named Jeeves, and Jeeves is supposed to be the guy that has the answer to any question.
Oh.
AskJeeves.com. This is really showing my age. Ask Jeeves.
I think before that was the little paperclip on Microsoft.
Oh, that one I know.
Oh, everybody knows the paperclip on Microsoft. Nice. All right, well, let's end this thing. What message do you want to end on?
Ask Jeeves is still
So the world is
around.
scary.
Ash Jeeves is still around, guys.
Don't be scared of the world.
Don't be scared of the world. It's a good message.
The world is yours.
All right. Barion, it's on you.
I think for me, personally, let me look right into this camera. Checking me out. My thing is, you are not going to be able to please everybody. Everything I do, I would say I do for me, but a lot of stuff I do for my wife, but you just got to do it. Most people just never start. Whether you want to do a podcast or you're not, just start. Please, just start. Because then if you don't start, you're never going to know. Just start. It's not going to look perfect when you first do it. Look at my first YouTube video. It's grainy. I'm out of focus. Look at them now, though. You feel me? That's the evolution you was talking about. So just start. Whatever it is. If it's a new job, whatever you got doing, just start. You want to write a book. You want to work on designing your own new scrunchies. Just start.
Start and finish.
Just start.
Yeah.
We don't know what the finish line gonna be. Just start. I think that's everybody's concern. They want to know where the finish is. Just you can't get there until you start. That's me. Just start. New T-shirt coming.
New T-shirt coming.
Just
for
start.
sure. And with that being said, that was The Lab.
The Lab
At CoLab Studios. Stay tuned for the next one. Check out the description for any links to any of the things we talked about today. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.